the most popular show on MSNBC at the time. And then right before the war, you were unceremoniously dumped. And a secret later memo came out of NBC that they didn't want to have an anti-war voice as their flagship show as the other networks were waving the American flag.
Yes, that was a memo published by the New York Times. And it was written up by a Republican pollster who took a survey where they put 25 people in a room and showed them one of my aggressive programs. And most of the people didn't like me. Was the result. I was called into Neil Shapiro's office and informed.
He was at NBC
he was
at
then,
the time.
Yeah, he's now head of PBS here in New York. So it was definitely a political termination. And it's interesting because during that time, they were terrified of this. You should know that this is October through, say, August through January, August of 2002 through January and February. The invasion was April of 2003, and I was gone by then. But this is not long after the towers. And so, you know, corporate media...
You were replaced by Michael Savage.
I was replaced by Michael Savage. So they couldn't wait to outfox Fox. And I had to have two conservatives for every liberal. And they wanted me to do entertainers, you know, don't do political. It's a very interesting study in the thinking at that time. Liberals were terrifying to them. They were afraid of liberals. Liberals weren't patriotic. Liberals were blaming the victim. Dissent was totally, totally unwelcome.
And yet you persisted, knowing the climate.
Well, I guess so. I mean, you know, at my own peril. But, you know, no sad songs for me. I'm a lucky guy. You know, I got a little money. But we have to wonder whose voice wasn't heard, you know, that didn't have the kind of ability to do this kind of thing and at least survive a little while. Well, interesting, really. At that time, half the political voice in this nation was silenced, really. And I believe most people at that time opposed this war. Most people did. They thought, what are we, why, how come over there? And yet, every major metropolitan newspaper in this country supported the invasion of Iraq. Think about that for a minute. Every major metropolitan. This is what you can do with the politics of fear. The Bush took this whole nation and the whole media establishment by the ear and led it right into the sword. Amazing. In the land of free speech, free press.
Do you see the same thing happening again right now?
Well, obviously you can see that it has slowed us up. But it looks like that's all it's done. And while we have been, you know, hesitant and not bring them on with the war lust that we had then, mission creep is underway. What happens when somebody's taken prisoner? I mean, we have become a warrior nation, and we have no respect for diplomacy. And we've just stood mute while the Constitution has been just shredded. This is a nation of law unless we're scared.